Welcome back to Doc's Tools. I'm Tom. So today we're gonna, I've been doing a particular V-block operation in the Toolroom Vise on the mill for 1,000 years. Finally got around to making a proper V-block that mounts in the vise. So we're going to take a look at how I've done it before and how what the new block does. It's different and makes the operation better. So stay tuned. Let's take a look at this thing. So what this technique is about is standing something up in the vise to do some end work on, and something that maybe isn't kind of favorable for gripping between two parallel jaws. A round would be a good example, right? So if we put this round in here like so, it really is just touching on two little points, right? And it's, if you try to mill that, it's a problem. And then the other problem is, making it square with the world. So, my solution has been to use a decent V-block here, and something like this, and we'll talk about these in just a second, and just plop that in there like so, and then you get 3-point contact, right? Boom. 1, 2, 3, right? It can't twist, and it's automatically, if your V-block's any good, it's automatically squared up with the world. So you can indicate this and drill or mill or whatever, and it works for rounds and squares and rectangles of, reasonable size range. Now, let's talk about the blocks here. So this is one that I modified, I don't know, a long time ago, and it started out as one of these here. Now this is a Brown & Sharp 750B, and they have a clamp that slips in here, but I don't use it anymore. And you can see this one's been shortened a little bit, right? And my recollection was this end of this block was pretty chowdered up, and I just chopped it off with a cutting disc and got it a little closer to the same height as the vise jaw here, right? Okay, and then this guy here, this is the Starrett version of the block, just dimensionally slightly different, just subtly different. And then the Starrett is interesting because it has a tapped hole in it that allows you to use it for creating a kind of a temporary fixture and whatnot. So the Starretts are kind of nice too. That's a Brown & Sharp. Lufkin made these too. You can find a single block like this on eBay for if you hunt for a while, and you can find one that's a little stained or whatever for 20 bucks or something like that. Okay, so this sits on these nice pads here, and then what I usually do is just kind of lock it in with these parallel clamps like this, so it doesn't move around. So if I'm swapping parts out, then the block doesn't move and I don't lose my datum. So works fine. I've been doing it that way for a gajillion years, but I decided finally to create this block here that actually mounts in here and is kind of designed with this in mind. So let's go through the steps here and see how this is how we made this and how else we can use it. Okay, so let's just kind of go through how you can use this block. Now, I've tapped these fasteners for 1032, so, and I counterbored those. We can mount that with a socket head, or if we're not doing anything too radical, we can just mount it with a couple of thumb screws real quick. No tools, just kind of lock that sucker in there, okay? And then now our block's in there, and Bob's your uncle. Oh, you know what? I don't need to do that. You guys have already seen that. So people are going, wow, what are those tapped holes on the sides for, right? So let's just take a look at how that might be used. And get my act together here. Let's do it like that. Let's just put this little guy in here. And what we might do in this situation here is something crazy like this. I need something like that, and then these, you know, the heels of these strap clamps from my mini pallet are tapped, so you could do something like that, right? Now, in this case, I think I would, let's go a little high, there. And then lock it in. So in this case, you know, you could do something like this, right? And then what you could do, which might be interesting, is take this out and go to another machine, surface grinder, or you know, change the orientation without losing your datums and whatnot. Or you could just use it as a kind of a regular V-block too. Okay. Anyway, another way you can use that. I just love the smell of this stuff. This brings back memories. Hope they never change the formula. Alright, let that dry for a bit. Then we'll do some layout on that. Hey, it didn't even get any on me. All right, here's our drawing here, and I'll make this available to people that want it as a PDF, or maybe a model. I don't know. I haven't modeled it yet. It's just a 2D drawing right now. But what I did was I just kind of calculated up the different intersections there to help me do the layout. So we're just going to scribe this so we can bandsaw it. That's kind of the my preferred methodology on this kind of stuff. Just remove as much as I can on the bandsaw first, and kind of get the material out of your way, right? And do it that way. So 750, 1 inch, 362 is the next one. So you know, I just kind of sped up the operation by make sure I did it right. So I'm paying attention. And then I'm just going to saw close to the lines. 563. I got to pay attention here a little bit. It was 200 thousandths more. That looks about right. And then the center line, I think, is next. Yeah. 2 inch, 438. 2 inch, 438. Okay, and that's our center line. So I'm going to take that all the way across the block. And you know what? I did not look to see if you guys can see those scribe lines there. You're not seeing the scribe lines very good. I had the exposure turned down so you could see the white paper. So once again, one of the challenges of filming on YouTube is the dynamic range of the photography that you end up doing. So I'm just gonna, that's our groove there. 2.5 there. That's the other side of our relief groove. All right, anyway, you get the idea. So let me get this laid out and then we'll do a little bandsawing on it. Transfer some of this stuff down to the center line. Okay. So this line is the overall thickness, so I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys at this point, but okay, there's our big V. And then, oh, you know what? I need the, I forgot that, which was 1/2 inch. I'll just do it the old-fashioned way here. Like this, like that. And then, let's see, do I have the, oh yeah, I'm missing, I missed one. All right, and it's 4 inch 125, right? Should be right there. It's okay, we have the technology here. Okay. And then the next one is that to there. I always like the kind of the drafting aspect of layout like this. You know, all these intersecting lines and stuff. Okay, so there's our outline. Boop, 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 boop. And then this is our little grinding relief there. All right, so we got enough to do some serious bandsawing there, and then we can do some rough machining, heat treat, and then grind. Pretty good. Pop that loose. Voila. There's our block roughed out. Of course. I had to stop. At this point, I'm just getting close to the lines and visually there, and then we'll do some measuring, and we want to leave some to, not that it matters that much, but we'll leave some for grinding after heat treat too. So we're going to use these add-on jaws here, and these are for holding stuff at a 45-degree angle, kind of like this, right? And the way these mount, actually, I don't even have to take the my fixed jaws out. What I've done is drilled and tapped the mounting screws in the center for a 1032 in this case, and what that allows me to do is stick appliances on there without having to actually remove the hard jaws. So I'm just going to install these. Or this one's I already locked down on the moving jaw here, and there's no particular reason. You see there's a little bit of wiggle, So what I want to do is put something in there that's kind of a known square, right? And then use that to help, yeah, okay, they're still loose. Use that to help kind of align the jaws, right? So that seems nice and settled. So I'll clamp that, and then now I'll just tighten these up a little bit. And you don't need a lot on these. They're just mainly to locate parts. Actually, these screws should probably be a little bit longer than the ones I grabbed there. Okay. All right, and this, you know, this is just a ground block I have. Okay, so now this, get this away so I don't kill myself on that. So now I can just kind of plop this in there, like so. And this is not a new idea, folks. So, but perhaps the mounting scheme is a little new, but other than that, it's not particularly new. Okay, so now I can work on this surface and I can work on this surface. And then what's nice here is because these are fixed, right? I just flip it and I'm referencing the ends, so everything, there's symmetry, okay? This is a common practice in grinding and some machining operations where you flip and then you maintain a symmetry. So that's what we're going to do here. When we grind this, what we really care about is the perpendicularity between these surfaces and the bottom. Because when we put things in there, we want to make sure they stand up square. That's one of the great uses of this technique, you know, for holding stuff in the vise. So when I clamp a rod in here, I want it to be straight up and down with the world. Anyway, that's the goal. So. Okay, so now I'll flip this over, I'll deburr this so that it sits in there nice, and then I'll go after those other two, that flat and that flat. A little deep. So all this is it's just a grinding relief so I can get in there with the grinding wheel and not bang into the corner. And I put that on center. What I did is I picked up both sides of this and once again symmetry, picked up this this, or went to the center of what's there, the material that's there. When you use counterbores like this, bottom them in the chuck. It's just a good habit to get into. So I'm going to set the quill DRO here. So make this like cream cheese, and then always, you know, your stuff like counterbores. I always run them in countersinks, things like that. You generally run them kind of slower than you need to. That way they just kind of last forever, because they're hard. You gotta buy new ones, right? Okay. And these particular counterbores are a little bit looser fit than you might do normally, right? This is a Philister head counterbore here, and it gives me a little bit of wiggle room, so that if I grind some material off of the reference surface, the screw holes will still line up. Okay, so that's that. What we're doing now is I've got basically a little relief in this backside here, where this material is just relieved a little bit, so that there's two basically bearing pads that bear against the vise. So I'm all set to go here. I'm just going to define the edges of it right now. Just helps me. Let's see. Better pay attention here, make sure I'm doing it right. I'm just going to take a real light pass across, pretty close to my finish edge. Same thing on this side. So what this does for me is this gives me a nice visual on that, and now I can go down and take the bulk of the material off and not have to look at numbers. So I can kind of mill with impunity, I guess, might be how you would put it. So I got a nice edge there that So we're ready for our finish pass now. I'm going to go down to depth now. Which is right there. And I go to my number. It's not a precision feature. I just want a, you know, kind of a decent finish on that. I'll probably grind it, you know, just to take the tool marks out of it after it's heat treated. And I added a little bit of oil just to improve the surface finish for the finish pass, just for people who are wondering why I didn't use oil previously. So the mantra, rough, ugly, you know, roughing can be ugly. There's no requirements on surface finishes and things like that while you're roughing. The point is to make good parts in the end, right? So how you get there is, you know, there's lots of ways to get there. That should be it. Feels pretty good. This next bit, so these are pretty much all the features in this block here, or this V block. I do in the drawing, I have some holes here, nice round ones anyway, that are kind of in the middle of this mass here. And what I did was I drew a circle that was tangent, tangent, and tangent, you know, like this, and then at the center of that. So it's kind of in the center of that mass there is the reason for that. Now, these are kind of optional holes, and the reason for them is, you know, to lighten this up a little bit, and you know, they don't have a specific function, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I kind of don't need to put them in there, but I kind of want to put them in there to just make this lighter. And I don't know, all the tool makers out there will know that, you know, you start getting enough stuff like this in your toolbox, and your toolbox gets pretty heavy, right? Now, that said, I'm probably going to go ahead and put those holes in there. And then this is a juncture where you can think about other uses for this block, right? What you might use, or what might you want to anticipate, right? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a series of tapped holes in these flats here on both sides, like that. And what are they for? I don't know. The first thing that comes to mind is maybe I want to use something like this on there, right? And well, that's a little too small, but I got a big round in there, and I might want to hold that in and take this somewhere else. Or hold this in a certain way, or create a stop, or I don't know what, right? So the features are almost free at this point, right, to add these holes. Like I said, these don't have a specific use other than to take some of that mass out of there. It also gives me a place to drill into so that I'm not dealing with blind holes too. You know, what I'm trying to do is, I guess, is, you know, before you finish up and get all, you know, start shaking your hand yourself, right? Let's think about, potential other uses for the thing, and you know, this certainly doesn't hurt anything. And oh wow, it would be really handy to have a little stop like that, because I don't know what, you know, you're doing something else. Anyway, that's all I'm saying. And I said it. Sure and snug. So I'm going to step these up now, and then I'll run the boring head through it just to get a nice finish on those holes. So, you know, it's something you'll be able to see. So if it's got a scraggly finish in there, it's not so cool. Yeah, maybe I'll run a reamer through instead. That'll be faster. Yeah, let's just do that. We get a 5/8 reamer. Just run it through there. I power fed the reamer for a nice smooth finish. Let's see what it looks like here. See how we did. Oh yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's do this other one. It takes a little longer, you know, because you'd probably feed faster by hand even if you were trying to go slow. But let's do that again. Right, get close. Engage feed, and off we go. Yeah, you can see that. Oh yeah, it's sweet finish in there. That's nice. Okay. So whenever you want to do nice countersinks, put the countersink in a collet. Don't run it in a chuck, because sometimes you get wobble and makes your countersink look like dada. Oh, that's weird. But I think I want the holes in the middle of that other hole. So I'm just going to pick this pin up, get on the center of that pin, that. Go back over. Alright, so that's the middle of the pin there. Okay, and let's see, what are we doing here? Yeah, okay, so let's do our... Let's start from the other side. That way I remember the numbers at least. Let's double check, make sure that's a 0. Yep, that's a 0. Alright, so half of that's pretty close to the edge. 375, let's look at that. You know, I'm second guessing myself. Originally I had the hole 1/4 inch from the edge. I think I'm going to go 3/8 from the edge. Let's get that out of there. Drill that. I know I want one in the center and I want 2 to the outside, right? And then this is 1/2 inch wide here, so do I want that right on the edge or do I want it in a little bit? I'm going to say in a little bit. Let's do that. Alright, so let's do our recipe. It's going to go 110. 10. Half of that. Yeah, that's good. 10. Alright. Sure did it. This is the anti-bozo double check that the math in your head was correct, right? 70, 90, 10. Okay. Okay, now. So this is it's a counter drilled tapped hole. You'll see that in a sec here. So I'll just do one complete for you. Okay, so we're going to drill through. That's our tap drill hole. And then I have a counter drill hole here. So this is a little bit bigger than the body of the screw. And the reason for that is in heat treated materials, it's really easy to pull a thread up. All right, let me double check my depth. It's supposed to be 100 deep. Okay. It's really easy to pull up a thread. Maybe 100 right there. Okay. So what you want is you want your threads to be subsurface, if that makes sense. Right? You don't want the threads breaking out right on the surface. All right, let's slow this down, even for me. Actually, you know what? This camera is right in the way here. There you go. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. So the threads start below the surface, right? So if anything lifts up, it doesn't raise a weird burr or anything on the surface, and that's the reasoning behind that. And that's all I'm saying. Okay.